You don't need the best passport in the world, be it the Emirati, the Japanese or the Spanish, to travel the world freely. What you need is not necessarily a single powerful passport, but rather the smart combination of multiple passports and golden visas. If you have one or several million to invest, here are the best public and discreet options available to you. I understand many of you are watching from Europe or from Asia with your Indian or Pakistani passports, or even from the US with American citizenship. So let's take a look at the real freedom of movement each of these provides and how it can be improved. If we start with the European Union, you already have one of the best passports in the world for mobility in 2025. Unless new passport-based taxation system or extreme restrictions are introduced, nobody will realistically consider renounce it, unlike in the American case. Therefore, Europeans are not necessarily looking to increase their travel freedom, but rather to have global backup options to be able to live elsewhere or even to secure an exit strategy in the future, just in case, much like many Americans do. For Indian, Pakistanis, their passports don't allow them to travel freely across the world, so maybe they need getting to Schengen area visa free, getting a second passport, and when they have this, maybe they can upgrade to an exception or by merit. As for Americans, many don't consider renouncing their citizenship, and their situation is similar to that of Latin Americans. But if renunciation is on the table, not just for tax reasons, but also to escape burdensome reporting, then you absolutely need a full strategy in place. Because once you renounce and you have nothing else, you are out. It becomes crucial to maintain similar mobility and to have a visa to return to the US even as a tourist, and that's one of the hardest things to recover after renunciation. We already know that globally there are citizenship by investment programs, merit-based naturalization, temporary and permanent residencies, and golden visas. The smart move here is to invest or donate in countries or unions that guarantee you access even if your original passport doesn't. Let's consider Caribbean passports. Of the 5 available, St. Kitts or Antigua or Grenada are the ones I would personally go for. For example, Grenada. It has a mid-tier reputation, it's the only one I would consider acquiring through real estate, and offers one of the fastest paths to citizenship. It's also the only one in the region with an E2 treaty with the US. Although you need to reside there for 3 years to qualify for E2, something few people do at first, it still provides initial protection against potential US sanctions or travel bans, which have removed recently. This passport allows access to virtually of all Latin America except Paraguay and Mexico, but that's not a concern since you can obtain temporary or permanent residency there without needing to live or invest. It also grants access to the Schengen area and the UK. That's why many people consider renouncing their US citizenship, because with this combo you get almost identical access minus the US or Canada. However, there are rumors that visa-free access to Schengen and B1, B2 access to the US could be revoked for Caribbean countries, making this passport far less attractive, especially considering that the minimum donation is $200,000 and with dependents, legal fees and government costs, the price easily surpasses $250,000. Many people are not willing to spend that much on a donation, let alone nearly $300,000 for a real estate option doesn't even give you full ownership. In that case, the smart move would be to go for a passport via refundable investment, such as in Turkey. You can invest between $400,000 and $500,000 million in real estate or a bank deposit and get your money back in 3 years. Plus, you can earn returns via Airbnb or local interest rates. Of course, the Turkish lira is plummeting and you might not recover 100%, but many properties are priced in US dollars, so you could break even. Turkey doesn't have Schengen access, but it's a safer passport purchase than a Caribbean one. Now we need to cover the Schengen area. For that, acquiring a golden visa is ideal. Whether or not your passport allows European access, with a golden visa you can move freely with the Schengen zone without being questioned. In fact, many Latin Americans, despite having 90 days access with 180 days period, are still subject to intense questioning at entry. The most interesting golden visas in Europe right now are those from Portugal, Hungary, Latvia, Italy, and Greece. Until April, Spain also offered one. You could buy property worth 500,000 euros in cities like Marbella, Malaga, Valencia, Madrid, or Barcelona and reside up to 6 months per year without becoming a tax resident. But the Spanish government has shut it down, and I believe other programs may follow. In Portugal, real estate no longer qualifies, but you can still invest 500,000 euros in government-approved funds with returns. The problem is the delay. It takes 3 to 4 years to get your residency permit, and now they want to change their citizenship law. Before, the 5-year count started from the application date. Now they want 10 years from the date the residency is granted. That means 3 years waiting for approval plus 10 years of residency visiting the country for just 7 days a year. Nearly 15 years in total. It's not extremely difficult, but it significantly reduces its appeal, especially if it doesn't provide quick Schengen access or fast citizenship. Still, for me, it remains a valuable mid to long-term option. Hungary, Greece, Latvia and Italy offer other paths. Greece lets you invest between 250,000 and 1 million euros depending on the area. Latvia is the most affordable, with an option around 100,000 euros for a startup or real estate investment that grants Schengen access at zero cost. If you combine a Turkish passport via real estate with a Schengen Golden Visa, you gain the same mobility as a Latin American or Caribbean passport, without donating or losing funds. You rely on two elements, one guaranteeing Schengen access and another allowing broader travel. In contrast, with Caribbean passports, you depend on whether Europe decides to revoke access. To take it a step further, you could combine the Turkish passport through real estate, a golden visa in the Schengen area through funds or real estate, and a Grenadian passport via real estate. This would give you an excellent portfolio without large donations. For under 1 million euros, you would have access to over 85% of the world. Only the US, Canada, and Australia would remain outside. Your primary passport might already cover them, or if not, you could apply for specific visas like the US E2. I wouldn't recommend anything Canada, either temporary or permanent. I don't like the direction the country is taking. As for Australia, that would depend on your individual case. Even if you go even further and don't mind making a donation, you can opt for Serbian citizenship through a 500,000 euros donation, eliminating the need for both the Turkish passport and the golden visa. This way, you avoid having a visible citizenship by business passport, and applying for B1, B2 visas to the US may be easier. This can be paired with a Schengen Golden Visa to secure access, of course. The goal here is not to improve, but to ensure. You can also convert temporary or permanent residency in countries where you would like to live, open bank accounts, or lay the groundwork for future citizenship. For instance, the UAE offers Golden Visa by $500,000 in real estate, 2 million dirhams, or $50,000 donations, maybe like nomination. Malaysia's My Second Home program is a strong option, alongside with Vietnam's Nuñez visa, Indonesia's permanent residency through bank deposit, or temporary residencies in Mexico, Panama, and Paraguay, where you can eventually obtain permanent residency and even citizenship without having to live there. Mauritius is also worth considering. With investment, you can obtain permanent residency and eventually citizenship without residing there. With 1 or more million, you can build a solid banking reputation in countries you care about, streamline your migration process, and travel the world freely and without questioning, even if your passport technically grants you entry. And the best part? Almost all of these options, except Serbia, are based on refundable investment, not donations. After the required period, you can get your money back, keep the document or residency, and can move on to new opportunities to maximize your global freedom. If this kind of setup interests you, fill out the form. This is just one strategy. Depending on your case, we may design a custom international solution for you.